Hey guys, welcome back to another plan with me. This week I'm planning from June 20th to the 26th, and I'm using this kit from Glam Planner. I forgot to look up the name of this kit, but it's clearly some sort of peach kit. So, I'm sure if it's still available, you could find it with that keyword. I'm really glad I picked up this kit. I purchased it just when I felt like I needed more like spring, summer looking kits, and I'm not the biggest fan of the regular color schemes, and I love a monochromatic kit. And this one definitely makes me really, really happy to look at. It's just very pleasing to the eye. I'm very happy with everything. And I think I did a pretty good job of finding all of my like icons and functional deco that match the colors, which is always just the best feeling. But this is the week where I had to travel for the first time in like 6+ years, air travel, I mean, and it scarred me for life. I'm so scared to ever book a flight ever again. This was pure torture. I think I went a little bit insane at one point. I never want to be in an airport ever again. It was terrible. I also, the reason for the travel was I had to go to a wedding in Austin, Texas. First time I've ever been to Texas, and I loved Austin. I loved it. I'm scared. Sorry if you can hear Brad. He's next to me like stretching and digging his nails into things, but I've never been somewhere that like I enjoyed so much. It's just a really good experience, but getting there was a complete nightmare. And this is also the first wedding of many that I had to go to this wedding season, and I don't know what else to say about that. So I guess I'll just start getting into, I did want to mention, you can see me doing it right now. So I didn't realize that I didn't get the glitter headers for this kit. And at one point I was digging through my stash and considered, using gold glitter headers or, whatever. But I loved the way that these glitter headers matched the kit, and I really wanted to use them. So what I ended up doing was taking, this kit only came with 7. So what I did was I took the date covers, which I very rarely use, but I decided to use them to cover up the top headers, and that worked out. And then I put the glitter headers, the ombre glitter headers, in the center row. And then fortunately, Glam Planner kits come with this skinny strip of washi that is the exact same width as a glitter header. So I just used my X-Acto knife to cut it up. And I think it turned out great, and I'm so relieved that I didn't have to mess up the monochromatic look of this kit by incorporating my own glitter headers, or I don't know. I toyed around with the idea of maybe just strategically placing all of my labels and covering up the glitter, the headers that way, but it ended up working out, so I was very happy with that. But anyway, I'm going to get into the day by day, starting with Monday. The first thing I marked was that I got up at 7 a.m., which, if you know me, is a really big deal. I don't get up that early, and I just used the icon from the kit to mark that. And the reason for getting up so early was because I was officially starting to nanny in Swarthmore, which, I have to commute there, and I needed to be there by, I think 8:30. Yeah, I had to be there by 8:30. So, yeah. So under that, with a half box and this munchkin from Once More with Love holding a baby, I marked that I had to nanny in Swarthmore. With a squared off label and this emoji drinking Red Bull, I marked that my bosses got me a 12-pack of Red Bull, which was very nice of them. So that was a nice surprise. With a flag and this Murdoch Talks desk, I marked that I also had to do my other job, while I was there. Fortunately, their baby is super, super easy. Well, she's 1. She can walk and stuff, but yeah, she's really easy. With a label and this Carly Plans cat food sticker, I marked that when I went home, I fed the cats and cleaned the litter. With another squared off label and this zombie emoji, I marked that I had more work I had to do when I got home. Then with this flat lay and a fancy label, I marked that I did a workout because this was when I was trying to force myself to keep up with my workouts, even though I was, out of the house so much with this job. And then I was exhausted and went to bed at midnight, which is very early for me. And I used this little pumpkin paper Coatera to mark that. Moving on to Tuesday, the first thing I marked with a squared off label, another munchkin holding a baby, and another desk sticker. I marked that I worked both jobs this day. With a flag and this whatever munchkin, I marked that I ended up having to work late. So I'm commuting from Philadelphia to the suburbs, and my bosses are commuting from the suburbs to Philadelphia, and they sort of didn't factor in the traffic, so they were having a really hard time getting back home by 5:30 to relieve me. But, they're very apologetic, and they tried. It's just traffic. With a label and this Target sticker from Carly Plans, I marked that I went to Target. With an icon from the kit, I marked that there was absolutely no parking. Like, between getting off work late and having to stop at Target on my way home, I just had to park a mile away from my apartment, which sucks, but at least at this time of year, the sun is still out. I really hate it when I get home late, and it's scary, but anyway, with a fancy label and this tired emoji, I marked that I was just exhausted and irritable. Tuesday is the worst day of the week, in my opinion. With a squared off label and this toothache emoji, I marked that something was wrong with my tooth. I was eating pierogies, and when the heat from, the mashed potato inside, touched where I had gotten my new filling, it was shooting pain, and it happened twice. And I was so scared that I was going to have to either go to the wedding and not be able to eat. Yeah, that was basically my only option, because I had to work in the suburbs, and I was leaving on Thursday. And it was currently Tuesday. I had no time to go to the dentist, so I was really panicking about my tooth. I was just of course, I finally find a dentist, and he's terrible. Anyway, moving on to Wednesday, the first thing I marked with a fancy label, and this is leftover deco from a Creating & Co. kit that was a murder true crime kit. I marked that I started my new audiobook on my way to work. With a squared off label and this munchkin carrying a little baby, I marked that, again, I worked both jobs. With an umbrella from Stella Bow Sticker Co., I marked that it rained. With an appointment label and another whatever munchkin, I marked that I had to work late again, because once again, my bosses couldn't get back on time. With a squared off label and this suitcase from Carly Plans, I marked that I packed. With another icon from the kit, I marked that I did a workout. With a fancy label and these emojis having a conversation, I marked that I just talked with my roommate for way too long, and I really needed to finish packing and stuff. And then the final thing on Wednesday, with a label and these glasses from the kit, I marked that Joe came over really, really late. I was hoping he was going to be here before 1 a.m. because I was exhausted from being up at 7, and then we had to get up and go to the airport in the morning. Up very, very late. Moving on to Thursday, the first thing I marked with an alarm clock that I think I got from Scribble Prints Co. I'm not 100% sure. And a label, I marked that I had to get up at 6 a.m. to go to the airport. With a fancy label and these munchkins consoling each other, I marked that our flight was canceled. We had purposely gotten a direct flight because we even paid a little bit more just to get that direct flight because it was worth it, in our opinion. And we were driving to the airport. My roommate was about to drop us off, and we got 2 blocks away from the apartment, and my boyfriend got the notice that our flight had been canceled. So we came back to my apartment and could not get through to the airline. All of the flights, like for the rest of the weekend, were booked. Like the only flight available would have gotten us there at 10 p.m. the night of the wedding. So like that would be completely pointless. So we ended up both calling, I think, Delta or American. I think we flew American. And we were on hold both for 3 hours. We stayed on hold for 3 hours because like the line was so busy that sometimes it wouldn't even, like, we were not able to hold. So we did not want to hang up those phones. We were so scared to lose our spot. We were also waiting online in the chat. So finally 3 hours later, we got someone, and then that was another hour of trying to get us to Texas in time. But we finally got a flight for that evening. But in the meantime, I texted my coworker telling her that turns out I can work this day because I had taken off Thursday because I thought it was going to be in Texas. So I did some work and I just used another icon from the kit to mark that with an appointment label and this sad emoji. I marked that our new flight was delayed by like hours and hours. And the problem with that was we had a connecting flight. There were no more direct flights. Like there was no way we were getting a direct flight. So we went to the airport and we sat there for like 3 hours, and then we finally got on our flight. While we were in the air, we were able to keep track of our connecting flight, and fortunately that one was delayed. So we were like, fingers crossed we can get off this plane and like rush to that plane. But no such luck. I think we missed the flight by like 30 minutes. But under that, with this work label and a pumpkin paper coterra running, I marked that we ran all the way to the connecting flight to try to make it. And yeah, it was gone. So then, this is when we both start losing our minds. We ended up having to spend the evening in the Charlotte airport. And I'm sure some of you have spent the night in an airport. It's freezing. It's like the coldest building I've ever been in my life. I guess because there are so many bodies during busy hours that they keep the air low, and then like the body temperature, raises the air. But when it's just the two of you and there is nobody else, we were freezing. The chairs in the airport were incredibly uncomfortable. We couldn't go to a hotel because we'd, number one, have to pay for an Uber, a hotel room. We didn't have our checked bag that had like all of our stuff in it. And then we would have had to come back super early to go through security anyway. So like the only option was really to just try to sleep in the airport, and we couldn't. It was too cold. My boyfriend opened up his carry-on and was like, because it was also going to be like 100 degrees in Texas. We didn't have anything warm with us. So he was laying like t-shirts over his head and his legs and stuff to try to keep warm. And I wore a sweatshirt to the airport because I'm not an idiot, but I was still freezing. It was one of the worst nights. I was like seriously considering just flying back home. Like I didn't want to go anymore. I was so sad and angry. Definitely one of the worst nights ever. So I marked that with a squared off box and these munchkins freezing under a blanket. And I just marked that we spent the night in the airport freezing and losing our minds. It was awful. So that was like about 8 hours. Moving on to Friday, the first thing I marked with the flight label that came with this kit, I don't think I've ever used one of these. I marked that we had a flight first thing in the morning from Charlotte to Kansas City. That's right, we had 2 connecting flights. We had to get on 3 planes instead of 1. It was the only option at this point, so we flew to Kansas City. And then from there, that flight was on time. So with a fancy label and this happy munchkin, I marked that we were finally in Austin. We had finally made it, but we were both really bummed because we were planning on hanging out with everybody on Thursday. We had obviously already paid for our hotel room for Thursday, so we lost a night on that. And we literally got there in time to grab lunch and then get ready for the rehearsal dinner. So under that, with a squared off box and this salad sticker I've had just like left over from some kit, I marked that we went to get lunch with one of Joe's best friends and his wife, and I had a salad. It was whatever. With a squared off box and this sleeping emoji, I marked that I took an hour-long nap. Joe was not able to do that. I think he had to he had to go to the rehearsal because he's in the wedding. But I took a nap and then I got ready and I just marked that with a fancy label and this little makeup brush sticker. I'm not sure where I got it. I've had these stickers since I started planning years ago. With a squared off label and this Jubilo champagne bottle, I marked that we went to the rehearsal dinner, which was like barbecue style, and I met a lot of really nice people. So that was fun. With a half box and these emojis singing, I marked that afterwards everybody went to this bar, and when we got there, we were so excited because there was a free emo night. There was no cover, and it was a live band doing covers, and they were so good. They were so good. It was just like the best surprise. But after a while, I completely crashed just from like the past few days of like not sleeping at all. And I reached my limit, so we did leave earlier than everybody else, which is a bummer, but I needed to sleep, and I marked that with a squared off box and this so tired emoji. Moving on to Saturday, the first thing I marked with a label and this angry munchkin. I was just so pissed that I got up so late, but like my body would not wake up, and I was just bummed because I had text messages. I had an offer to like go lay out by the pool with this one couple that I met, and I really liked them. And then I also had the offer to like grab a coffee with this one guy who's very interesting. He was actually in one of the Saw movies, which is pretty cool. I've met him before. He's like great. But so I was just bummed because I wanted to like hang out with people and like do things while I'm in Austin, but my body was just like, no. So I literally woke up and had to rush to get ready for the wedding because that's how long I slept. So with a squared off box and this shower munchkin, I marked that I jumped in the shower, and then with another squared off box and these makeup stickers, it's from the same sheet as the brushes, I marked that I messed up my makeup because I was rushing so much, and I was really bummed because I just really wanted to feel pretty, but you know, it's not my day, so it's fine. But like, I forgot to curl my lashes before I put on my false lashes, which is just a big no-no. So I felt like pretty ugly, but it is what it is. So then with this sweating munchkin head, I marked that I was stressed because I was like feeling it. I didn't like my dress. Like I like brought nipple covers. Is that like a word that you can't say on YouTube? I don't know, but like, you know, because you don't want anything, but they didn't work. So I just said, screw it. My dress is black. Maybe nobody will even be able to see. And it was fine. I looked decent, you know, after the drama of getting ready, it wasn't too bad. With a squared off box and these I love you munchkins, I marked that it was wedding time. They got married at the Four Seasons, very bougie, very fancy. Then after the wedding, we went to the after party, which is at the Marriott, and that, you know, they had like an hour of open bar for us there. So I marked that we got drinks there with a squared off label and this martini glass from, I think, SPC. And then the final thing with a squared off box and this walking munchkin, I marked that we walked to Rainy Street, which I guess has like a lot of bars and stuff. And then finally moving on to Sunday, the first thing I marked with a fancy label and this pillow emoji was that I slept through the brunch. There was no way in hell you were getting me to go to that brunch. With a half box and this GP Studio house, I marked that we finally got to see the groom's house because we've never been to visit him in Austin, and it's Joe's best friend. So I'm so jealous. Their house is fucking huge, and they just got like this insane pool put in. So jealous. With a little thing and this pumpkin paper headache Tara, I marked that I was feeling a little bit hungover, but like not too terrible considering. With a squared off box and this Olive Studio slice of pizza, I marked that when we actually met another guy named Joe who was super nice, and he drove us to the house, and then so that way we only had to take one Uber from there. So we Ubered to the airport, and of course our flight was on time, because now it didn't matter. But I needed something in my stomach, so I ordered like the world's shittiest Pizza Hut pizza. I hate airport food, but I needed it. And then with the squared off box and this munchkin in a plane, I marked that we had a really annoying final flight. I think because we were like Oh yeah, we couldn't take off for like an hour after we got on the plane. Like, that's really annoying. I'd rather just not be on the plane. And then the final thing, on Sunday with a squared off box and this Planning Roses book stack, I marked that I read. And yeah, my roommate picked us up from the airport. And as far as my sidebar goes, it's just first time in Texas and back to nannying. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this spread. I love the way it came out. Thank you if you watched all the way through, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.